November 18th, 2021, an FBI whistleblower discloses to Republicans on the House Judiciary that the FBI created a threat tag for parents voicing their concerns at school board meetings. April 26, 2022, another FBI whistleblower discloses that the FBI employees are being run out of the Bureau for attending conservative political events. May 11th, 2022, another FBI whistleblower discloses that dozens of parents with the threat tag designation to their name are investigated by the FBI. This also happens to be the same whistleblower who said the FBI leadership, not the rank and file members, the FBI leadership is rotted at its core. His clearance has been revoked and he's been suspended. June 7th, 2022, another FBI whistleblower is retaliated against after giving feedback on an anonymous survey. July 27th, 2022, another FBI whistleblower discloses that agents are pressured to reclassify cases as domestic violent extremism cases to hit self-created performance metrics. September 14th, 2022, an FBI whistleblower discloses that the FBI views the Betsy Ross flag as a terrorist symbol. September 19th, 2022, another FBI whistleblower discloses that the Washington field office is deliberately manipulating January 6 case files to make it appear that domestic violence extremism is on the rise. He's been suspended. November 4th, 2022, another FBI whistleblower discloses the FBI accepts private user information from Facebook without the user's consent, and information is from only the conservative side of the political spectrum. This is only a sampling. In my time in Congress, I have never seen anything like this. Dozens and dozens of whistleblowers, FBI agents coming to us talking about what's going on, the political nature at the Justice Department. Not Jim Jordan saying this, not Republicans, not conservatives, good, brave FBI agents who are willing to come forward and give us the truth. And this is just the FBI. Americans have concerns about the double standard at the Department of Justice. Americans have concerns about the Disinformation Governance Board that the Department of Homeland Security tried to form. Americans have concerns about the ATF and what they're doing to the Second Amendment. And of course, they have concerns about the IRS and the thousands of new agents who are coming to that organization. And finally, there are concerns about what we've learned in the Twitter files, where big government and big tech colluded to shape and mold the narrative and to suppress information and censor Americans. Over the course of our work in this committee, we expect to hear from government officials and experts like we have here today. We expect to hear from Americans who've been targeted by their government. We expect to hear from people in the media. And we expect to hear from the FBI agents who have come forward as whistleblowers. We think many of them will sit for transcribed interviews, as one did on Tuesday. And we believe several of them will come and testify in open hearings. And finally, we expect to bring forward legislation that will help protect the American people. We hope our Democrat colleagues will work with us. The day the resolution creating this select committee was debated and passed, though, Mr. Jeffries, Mr. Nadler said Democrats would, quote, fight us tooth and nail.
Do you hear that? Thank you for joining it with me tonight. Thank you for tuning in. Please hit the share button. Please share this video. I think this is like the most important information, one of the most important informations that I've ever talked about. Everyone should be talking about this. This is our country, and our country's under attack from within. You hear what he just said? The Republicans in this case, they're trying to fight for our First Amendment rights. It has become a major problem. See, now when personal tech companies, private companies, preventing people from saying stuff, they were saying, well, that's a private company, it's a private company, it's a private company. But once the federal government got involved, that's a completely different story. Now the federal government personally has been hindering people's free speech. They violated the First Amendment. Please share this video. I have so much to share with you. So much. This is so powerful.
That will help protect the American people. We hope our Democrat colleagues will work with us. The day the resolution creating this select committee was debated and passed, though, Mr. Jeffries, Mr. Nadler said Democrats would, quote, fight us tooth and nail. We hope that attitude changes. We want to work with them. Protecting the First Amendment shouldn't be partisan. Protecting the Constitution shouldn't be partisan. And protecting the fundamental principle of equal treatment under the law should not be partisan.
It shouldn't be. But they've already made it clear that they're going to fight this. And he's asking them to change your mind. Don't fight this. Help fight for the American people. I never in a million years, I never thought in a million years that members of Congress would actually say that they're going to fight against you and I having the First Amendment rights. The Democrat Party, they constantly talking about civil rights, people of color.
People of color.
They say it so many times. They say it so many times over and over and over again. But when it actually comes down to it, this is not for us that they're trying to fight for. When it comes right down to it, they want to keep the power themselves. And Jim Jordan here saying that he's hoping that they'll come, jump on the side of the American people and fight for our rights. They're not going to. These are tyrants that he's talking about. And see, Republicans, they want Democrats to join them and to fight for our freedoms. But the Democrats, they do the opposite. They don't want you to have freedoms. And they've demonstrated it. Show me one Democrat right now that is saying that all of this, what the FBI has done, is completely wrong. Show me just one. Just one. There aren't any. Look at this one. Boebert, she was suspended and her account was hindered on Twitter. And she's actually talking to the people who actually did it to her account. They actually did it to her. So now she gets to confront the very people that did it to her. I wish I could do that. I wish I could ask them, why did you do my account this way? Why did you delete my YouTube channel? Why are you suppressing my Facebook page right now? Why are you doing this? Because I don't ever call for violence. I don't ever show nudity, and you don't ever hear me cursing. And I don't ever almost curse. I don't have a need to do it. There's not even close. So why are you suspended? Why do you do these things to my account? Why? It's because I'm exposing stuff, because I'm talking about stuff that you disagree with. Isn't that what we do in a free society? Listen to Boebert.
Mr. Roth, while at Twitter, how many meetings did you have with the FBI?
I couldn't say for sure, but I would
More
say
than 10?
That's a reasonable estimate. I couldn't say for sure.
More than 50?
That seems a bit high.
Many meetings with the FBI. Well, we know how many FBI agents worked at Twitter while you were there?
I don't believe any active FBI agents.
Former FBI agents. How many worked there while you were there?
I'm aware of perhaps 2.
Well, we know of at least 9 because they started the BU group chat, BU for Bureau. Now, Mr. Roth, did the FBI ever ask you to share information like users' communication data without going through proper legal channels?
No, they did not, and I would have refused if they had.
That's correct. I see that you denied Agent Chan's request for access to Twitter's data feed. What's sick isn't that you would deny it. It's that the FBI would even ask you for the private data of American citizens without going through legal channels of the law. Now, I want to remind you, Mr. Roth, that you are under oath. Did the FBI ever ask you to do anything that was illegal or questionably legal?
That is illegal. Them doing that is 100% illegal. Now, you heard what she just said. The FBI went to them without a warrant or anything, and they were spying on people. They were hindering people's voices. And she just asked the question, did he ever participate?
I'm not a lawyer, but certainly not to the best of my recollection or knowledge.
Now, from the hearing that I've...
Okay, let me stop it there real quick. I'm sorry. I'm sorry. This is the whole gist of the reason why I titled this tonight. Because their whole thing is no proof, no truth. meaning that if you don't have any proof, I'm not going to tell you the truth. You know, kind of like the left when they're out in the street saying no justice, no peace, no justice, no peace, meaning that if they don't get the justice that they want, you can expect violence. That's what the left says when they're in the street. No justice, no peace. What do you think that means? If we don't get the justice, you don't get any peace, meaning that we're going to be violent. In this case, these people are saying, if you don't have any proof, I'm not going to tell you the truth. But even when they do show the proof, they all come out and say, well, not to my recollection, not to my understanding, that's not how I remembered it. They're saying everything but saying, I plead the fifth. So instead of them saying, I plead the fifth, not to my recollections. That's what they're saying. Listen.
Been a part of today. It's almost impossible to tell where the FBI ends and where Twitter begins. We have Mr. Baker here, a former FBI agent, and there seems to be a revolving door between the FBI and Twitter itself. Even Mr. Baker said that there was no collusion with the federal government and Twitter. But Mr. Baker, that's you. You are the collusion between the federal government and the FBI. And now this is such a problem because we're seeing censorship all over. Mr. Roth, Ms. Gaddy, did either of you approve the shadow banning of my account at Lauren Boebert? Yes or no?
No, I did not.
Not to the best of my recollection.
Well, let me refresh your memory.
Okay, let me stop it. Let me stop it. You see, did you hear what he just said? I'm sorry. For those of y'all, look, I have to stop it here. I want y'all to listen because she said, do you remember her account? They hindered her account. Listen to what he says the first time. He says no. And then when she comes back and has proof, then he changes how he responds. He literally just lied, got caught in a lie. Listen, pay attention.
We're seeing censorship all over. Mr. Roth, Ms. Gaddy, did either of you approve the shadow banning of my account at Lauren Boebert? Yes or no?
No, I did not.
Not to the best of my recollection.
Well, let me refresh your memory because on March 12th, 2021, and Mr. Roth, I know you looked at it because Fascist Twitter 1.0 had a public interest exceptions policy, which means for members of Congress to be shadow banned, it had to go before you, Mr. Roth. So I'll ask again, did you shadow ban my account? Yes or no?
Again, not to the best of my recollection.
So the answer is, Mr. Roth, yes, you did. I found out last night from Twitter staff that you suppressed my account for this tweet. It's a freaking joke about Hillary Clinton being angry that she couldn't rig her election.
He just lied. He just lied to Congress. So what's happened to Republicans in the past that lied to Congress? He just lied right there in real time. He just lied. Don't you go to jail when you lied to Congress? And if you ask me, when these politicians are up here like AOC and Adam Schiff, when they deliberately lie, there should be a penalty. They should be removed from the committee that they're sitting on, and they should not even be able to hold any position in political office when they're blatantly lying, just outright lying. There should be some kind of penalty. We go to jail if we lie, but they get to lie. What? They just get to lie because they're politicians and it's okay? I don't think so.
It's a joke, but in response, being the sinister overlords that you all are, you placed a 90-day account filter so I could not be found. And now we see here that Twitter staff said the visibility filter on my account excluded me from top searches, prevented notifications for non-followers, and much more. This is considered an aggressive visibility filter. You silenced members of Congress from communicating with their constituents. You silenced me from communicating with the American people over a freaking joke. Now, who the hell do you think that you are? Election interference? Yeah, I would say that that was taking place because of you four sitting here. The Hunter Biden laptop story was suppressed. A sitting member of Congress was suppressed. A sitting president was banned from Twitter. You know, I bet that Putin is sitting in the Kremlin wishing he had as much election interference as you four here today. We've heard about threats to democracy. Well, what about shutting down a duly elected member of Congress? This is fundamental to our nation's governance, and you all attacked that very foundation. 230 protections? Well, those are for publishers, not for editors. And it's clear you were not acting as publishers, you were acting as editors. And Mr. Chairman, I think it's far past time that we remove 230 protections for big tech platforms who are abusing this protection. And let me just say, I'm not angry for myself. I'm not angry because I was silenced. I can reach out to Elon and to his staff, and I can see what's happened. And I can sit here today and hold you all in account. I am angry for the millions of Americans who were silenced because of your decisions, because of your actions, because of your collusion with the federal government. They can't reach out to Elon. They can't sit here today and hold you into account. We don't know where the FBI ends and Twitter begins. But I do want to thank
Mr.
Elon
Chairman,
Musk
we're over
for
17
firing
seconds now.
you four and saving free speech and even Twitter.
She just laid it out on him. Dude just got caught lying. And you know what? I'm glad that they're doing this, and I'm glad that they're exposing all of this. But all of the liberal media is saying that this is all a political stunt. There's nothing here. There's nothing happening. Why? They're okay with it happening. All of the liberal media, all of the Democrats, they're okay with all this corruption taking place because it's to their benefit. Think about it. Why would they care to stop it? Why would they even care to acknowledge that the corruption is happening? They want the corruption to continue because it's to their benefit. We've seen where it's gotten them. And you know what's really crazy is that they did this for years. They never had any idea that this information would ever come out. The people in the federal government, the retired FBI agents that were working at Twitter, every last one of them should go to prison. Why? Because they all took the oath. What happens when they violate that oath? Now you explain it to me. Leave me a comment. Tell me what you think. If you're a vet and you served in the military, the United States military, and you took the oath to serve and protect, let me ask you, did that oath end when you got out of the military, or does it still apply in your life? Does it still apply? Just because you got out of the military, does that mean it goes away? Now, if you're a woke vet, then yeah, probably so. Like a woke cop, probably so. Like a woke judge, probably so. A woke politician, probably so. Y'all don't care about the oath that you took. But those of you that love America and you took that oath, whatever position that you filled serving in this country, did that oath come to an end when you retired? Yes or no? Leave me a comment. Let me know. Leave me a comment. I want to know, because these people here, they took an oath to serve and protect, and these FBI agents that are working in Twitter, and the same and the ones that are active in the FBI, they should go to prison. They should go to prison. At the very least, never be able to work in another tech company and most definitely not have any connection with the FBI, the Federal Bureau of Investigation. Never again. The very least. But you know what? The sad thing is we're having these hearings and they're bringing all this information out and they're exposing it, which is absolutely a good thing. The only bad thing about it is once it goes over to the Senate, let's say they create a bill, right? Create a law in the House. It goes over to the Senate. Mitch McConnell, he's going to push it to the side. And Mitch McConnell's going to be like, well, you know what? We have other issues right now. I want to make sure that we keep funneling money to Ukraine. We don't need to talk about how the American people are getting hurt, how the American people are getting targeted. We don't need to talk about that. We need to talk about how we can send more money to Ukraine. He's going to work hand in hand with Chuck Schumer in the Senate to make sure that none of this ever sees the light of day once it leaves the House. I'm telling you right now, hear me now, believe me later on. Listen to this one.
Mr. Roth, have you communicated with government officials ever on a platform called Jira? Yes or no? Real quick answer. We're on the clock.
Not
yes
to
or
the
no?
best of my recollection.
Not to
no.
your recollection? Great. If you did, in the event, communicate, who would have had access to this platform?
That's the nature of my confusion.
Okay.
Jira is,
Did you ever speak to government officials on Jira regarding taking down social media posts?
again, not to the best of my recollection.
Can you explain to me why the federal government would ever have interest in communicating through Jira, mind you, a private cloud server, with social media companies without oversight to censor American voices? I want to let you know that this is a violation of the First Amendment, and the federal government is colluding with social media companies to censor Americans. Mr. Chairman, I ask for unanimous consent to submit these graphics into record. And Mr. Roth, I'm going to refresh your memory for you. This flowchart behind me. Thank you, Chair. This flowchart shows the following federal agencies, social media companies, Twitter, leftist nonprofits, and organizations communicating regarding their version of misinformation using Jira, a private cloud server. On this chart, I want to annotate that the Department of Homeland Security, which has the following branches: Cybersecurity and Infrastructure Security Agency, also known as CISA, Countering Foreign Intelligence Task Force, now known as the Misinfo, Disinfo, and Malinformation, MDM. This was again used against the American people. The Election Partnership Institute, or Election Integrity Partnership, EIP, which includes the following: Stanford Internet Observatory, University of Washington Center for Informed Public, Graphica, and Atlantic Council's Digital Forensic Research Lab, and potentially, according to what we found on the final report by EIP, the DNC. The Center for Internet Security, CIS, a nonprofit funded by DHS, the National Association of Secretaries of State, also known as NASS, and the National Association of State Election Directors, NASED, and in this case, because there are other social media companies involved, Twitter. What do all of these groups, though, have in common? And I'm going to, again, refresh your memory. They were all communicating on a private cloud server known as Jira. Now, the screenshot behind me, which is an example of one of thousands, shows on November 3rd, 2020, that you, Mr. Roth, a Twitter employee, were exchanging communications on Jira, a private cloud server, with CISA, NASS, NASED, and Alex Stamos, who now works at Stanford and is a former security officer at Facebook, to remove a posting. Do you now remember communicating on a private cloud server to remove a posting? Yes or no?
Now, you see that? She actually has proof that he did. Now watch how he tries to spin it. Watch how he tries to, because he's under oath. Now watch how he tries to spin it.
I wouldn't agree with the characterization.
I don't care if you agree. This is your stuff. Yes or no, did you communicate with a private entity, the government agency, on a private cloud server, yes or no?
The question was if I
yes or no. Yeah, I'm on time. Yes or no?
Ma'am, I don't believe I can give you a yes or no.
Well, I'm going to tell you right now that you did, and we have proof of it. This, ladies and gentlemen, is joint action between the federal government and a private company to censor and violate the First Amendment. This is also known, and I'm so glad that there's many attorneys on this panel, joint state actors. It's highly illegal. You are all engaged in this action, and I want you to know that you will be all held accountable. Ms. Gaddy, are you still on CISA's Cybersecurity Advisory Council? Yes or no?
Yes, I am.
Okay. For those who have said that this is a pointless hearing, and I just want to let you guys all know, we found that Twitter was indeed communicating with the federal government to censor Americans. I'd like to remind you that this was all in place before January 6th. So to say that these mechanisms weren't in place and to make it about January 6th, I want to let you know that you guys were actually in control of all of the content, and clearly we have proof of that. Now, if you don't think that this is important to your constituents and the American people from those saying that this was a pointless hearing, I suggest you find other jobs. Chairman, I yield my time.
I completely agree. Talking about like AOC, Jerry Nadler, the whole lot of them saying that all of this is pointless. How is it pointless when it comes to the U.S. Constitution? I don't understand it. I don't get it. They're literally saying that it's pointless. They're saying it's pointless. And You know how I was saying how they kept saying, I don't recall, I don't recollect, I don't recall, I don't remember, I don't remember, I don't remember, I don't remember. They're all saying that. Instead of just saying, I plead the fifth, they're saying, well, I don't remember right now. So basically they're saying, no proof, no truth. If you don't have any proof, I'm not going to tell you the truth. But they do have the proof, and they don't care. They don't care about the truth. You know what? This is all still a spiritual battle here, because we all know. I'm experiencing it right now. I'm looking at my Facebook right now, and I'm experiencing it right now. Looking at my YouTube, I'm experiencing it right now. My YouTube channel that I go live on every time I go on with Facebook, and even here on Rumble, every time I go live, my YouTube channel, they will not allow my YouTube channel to grow at all. At all. At all. They do not allow my YouTube channel to grow at all. And they're doing that on purpose because they're censoring what Will Johnson is saying. Like, what's wrong with Will Johnson? Is Will Johnson that bad of a guy? Because I don't think the way they want me to think? I mean, this is really bizarre. But they're all saying, I don't recall, I don't recall, I don't recall. Even Fox News is talking about how they're constantly saying this. And I'm saying that they're saying this in place of, I plead the fifth.
What do you think we learned yesterday?
Well, we didn't learn as much as we wanted to. The House Republicans are searching for the truth, but I think we learned that we got a lot of not very credible answers from the witnesses. A lot of difficulty recollecting things. Now, I understand it's a few years ago. On the other hand, this was the biggest story of the year. Otherwise, they wouldn't have tried so hard to suppress it. The idea that this potential corruption case involving the family of a major candidate for president would not have been top of mind. I think those are conversations with the FBI, if they happened, that you would remember. You also see this really bizarre implicit claim that Twitter is the problem here. Mr. Baker claiming attorney-client privilege. Another witness saying, well, I couldn't get my notes from Twitter. As if Elon Musk is the one who's preventing disclosure.
Because he waived that. Elon Musk waived that attorney-client privilege for him. But the one thing I think is interesting is, where in the world is Jack Dorsey? He was a CEO. Yeah, and there's no leader. Why does he get off scot-free?
Yeah, and I think you also saw, I guess, another interesting takeaway, I think, from the hearing was this phenomenon where sometimes people in the media are willing to or eager to make arguments for the Bidens that the Bidens won't make themselves. Their witness saying that Hunter never said it was hacked material. Hunter never told us this is a lie, you got to take it down. They took it upon themselves, and we want to know how. That's a great point. How active was the FBI? You see it with the document stuff too, like media folk making arguments that some Obama-era executive order gave Vice President Biden some sort of superpowers over classified documents. No, he has laws apply to him, and the same thing with Hunter. But I hope that one result of this is some people in our industry think about if you're making a case that the person you're making it on behalf of isn't willing to make, you might want to check yourself.
You know, what do you think they're saying on the liberal media? You know, I haven't watched them in the last couple of days. I should go watch them just to see what they're saying. Maybe I'll do some of that when I get off of here tonight, just to see what they're saying. They're probably not even mentioning anything about the hearings, or if they are, they're probably just saying it's a, political stunt. There's really nothing there. And like I mentioned earlier, they would say that because it works to their benefit. The Twitter files, the Twitter dumps, right, actually showed how the liberal media was in contact with Twitter as well, trying to suppress information. That came out. Do you think it's possible that Elon Musk bought Twitter and then this all of a sudden made these fake documents? Do you think that's possible? And why would Elon Musk do that? Why would he spend the time creating fake documents, or even have a team to create fake documents to show the FBI paying Twitter $3 million? Why would he spend the time writing up documents showing how Adam Pencilneck Schiff wanted journalists removed from the platform? Why would he spend the time doing that? You notice one thing, and I'm only bringing that up because they're not even saying that Elon Musk, the Twitter files that Elon Musk is sharing, the emails, the communication between the FBI and Twitter, none of them are saying it's not real. At least I haven't seen them say that. Not a single time have I, and I watch them quite often, except for this week. I have yet to hear them say that, these Twitter files, none of them are real. Like, remember the communications with John Podesta and Hillary Rodham Clinton, the email server, some of the stuff that was getting released with James Comey when he was the FBI director. No one was saying that the emails were not valid. They were just upset because someone read the email. And some of those emails were highly classified. Remember that? See, no one is saying that the Twitter files are not real. They just don't care. They don't care that it took place. Now, let's just say Elon Musk all of a sudden decided to say, okay, well, let's start censoring liberals. When you have Obama, when you have Joe Biden, when you have Elizabeth Warren, start, putting shadow bans on their accounts and start allowing them to start experiencing what we've been experiencing. Like I am right now on my Facebook. I just happened to look over my Facebook. My Facebook is struggling to stay over 300 people getting a notification, tuning in, and I have over 400,000 followers on my Facebook page. And I used to average around 1,500 to 2,000 people tuning in, and now it's like struggling. And then a lot of people, I see people on there saying that they don't even have the share button or won't allow them to share it on Facebook. If you get any of those type of messages, take a screenshot and say, hey, I'm trying to share it. This is what I got. Here's a screenshot. Put it in there. Put it in the comment of the video of the post that you're watching. And just don't do it for mine. Do it for everybody. Every single person that is on Facebook and even on YouTube, when you see weird stuff like that, take a snapshot. Take a snapshot and post it on the video that you're watching. You can post pictures under this video right now, what you're watching. It may not let you do it while you're live, while I'm live, but take a snapshot and then share it. I'm always asking people, hey, take a snapshot. Send me a snapshot. Send me a snapshot. Right? Because just don't tell me about it. Take a snapshot so we can show it. Because us just saying it without showing it to them, they won't allow us to do it. Someone said, what's with the chat box thing? Type in, you know what? That's something that's on Facebook here. If you type in, I'm going to ask everybody on Facebook. Someone just asked that on Facebook. Type in I notify. I'm going to put it in the comments here. Supposedly, if you type in that, this is specifically on Facebook. I think there's something similar like that on YouTube. But if you type that in, I just put it in the comments, type in I notify. Supposedly, what's supposed to happen is that you're saying that you want to be notified when Will Johnson goes live. So can somebody do that? I just put it in the comments. Someone do that. Allow me to know if it works for you or not. Okay. All right. Let me know. It won't let me share a screenshot or picture, even though I go to an old live, it still won't let me. Now you should be able to. You should be able to, because the option is there for you to do a picture. Okay, people are typing I notify. It's bang. I'm sorry. It's an exclamation point, not a notify. Do it. Just copy what I did and paste it. You can't do I notify, not I notify. Sorry. That's my bad. Copy what I just put in there and paste it. Exclamation point, notify. Exclamation point, notify. Everyone is typing I notify. That's not right. Exclamation point, notify. That's my fault. I just put it in there. Let me put it in there one more time. I got more stuff to share with you. Let me come on. Yep. Okay. See, people starting to do it. Exclamation point. It's when you hit down shift and 1, or if you're on the phone, it's the exclamation point. In IT, we call it bang, but it's like you're being really loud. Yeah. I see people starting to do it now. Yeah. See, it's saying that if you do that, you'll get notifications. So if you want to get notifications, do that. Let's see if it works. Okay. All right. Cool. Thank you. Okay. Let me get back to this because I still have so much I want to share with you. The Twitter's They're 100% biased, right? And there's no secret about that, right? Their Twitter, even when Mark Zuckerberg went on Capitol Hill and he was talking to Congress, and he straight up said that, Silicon Valley, we're all kind of left-leaning. We don't like conservatives there, Christians. We don't like them. We're all left-leaning. He pretty much admitted to it, right? And then he went on Joe Rogan and said that the FBI showed up. That's what I wonder if they're going to bring Mark Zuckerberg on and say, can you elaborate what you said when you went on Joe Rogan? Because on Joe Rogan, you said the FBI showed up. And what are the records about that? Because you, Mark Zuckerberg, owning Facebook, you actually said that the FBI showed up. They didn't talk to you directly, but you did say they showed up to talk about the Hunter Biden laptop. But all of the leftists, all of them are saying it's not true. So who's lying? Is Mark Zuckerberg lying, or are the Democrats and politicians lying? We know that Mark Zuckerberg went on Joe Rogan and told the truth, and I don't know what compelled him to even tell the truth on that story. It's really bizarre. It's like Joe Rogan has this thing about people to get them to tell the truth, and they just let it all out the bag. Maybe because they think they're going Joe Rogan and everybody in the world hears it, and they're like, nothing's going to be done about it. You can't do anything. You can't touch me. But anyways, listen to this, because they bring up the whole point how Twitter donating all kind of money to the Democrat Party, the left-leaning, and anyone conservative, anyone running for political office that's conservative, they made sure that no one could see their tweets. Same thing happens on Facebook and even on YouTube. They make sure that no one can hear your message because you might win over somebody. They want everybody to believe and think the way the left does. Now, this dude here, he's kind of disgusting if you ask me. Listen.
We have it here. It was 98.4% of Twitter employees gave to Democratic candidates or causes in the 2020 election cycle. And believe it or not, those numbers actually went up in the 2022 cycle to 99.7% of Twitter employees donating to Democratic candidates and causes. So clearly, Twitter as a whole had a political bias. Mr. Roth, do you personally think that you have a political bias, and did you have one when you worked at Twitter? A personal political bias?
No, sir.
You didn't. That's remarkable, because it's pretty obvious you did have strong biases when you compared, ironically using Twitter, people that worked in the Trump White House to Nazis. They were good folks that you simply disagreed with politically in our representative republic, and you compared them to the most evil people on the planet that murdered 60 million people, or at least were responsible for those deaths. You think that was a little bit hyperbolic?
Yes, I do. As I said, I regret the language.
I agree with you. It was. And so your political opinion spilled over into censorship work at Twitter. I think your biases had consequences, which you intentionally expressed through your propaganda and censorship role at Twitter. Additionally, you may have collaborated with U.S. intelligence community regarding stories that y'all didn't want the public to see. So namely, what we refer to as the Hunter Biden laptop story that ran in the New York Post.
Yes. They literally called half the country Nazis because we don't agree. Let me ask y'all a question. What did the Nazis do when it comes to propaganda? They prevented people from telling stories, and during that time, people would print up stuff in flyers and hand them out. And the Nazis went out and they shut that down. They would not allow people to spread any kind of message other than their message. And they have the nerve, the audacity to call those of us on the right, conservative Christians, they call us Nazis, but yet they do the same thing the Nazis did. They're doing it today. And instead of them burning books, they burn your Facebook. You understand what I'm telling you? By deleting it. They delete your channel. They delete your Facebook. They delete you because you have information. You have a way of thinking that they don't like. The Nazis don't like it, so they delete it. And then you talk about the violence throughout the country. Who's been committing the violence throughout the country? I can show you video after video after video of leftists out there destroying property, attacking people. But they put it out there saying that it's conservatives, it's these MAGA Republicans doing all of this. They're the ones doing it. They're the ones that's bad. They're the ones that's bad.
House Republicans are taking a microscope to the Hunter Biden scandal. The Oversight Committee grilling former Twitter executives today about their censorship of the story. in the New York Post, which many in the GOP contended could have directly affected the 2020 election. The most pointed questions, though, aimed at the U.S. government influence into the censorship decisions. Correspondent David Spunt reports tonight from the Justice Department. Good evening, David.
Brett, good evening to you. A fiery hearing lasting the majority of the day. Democrats argue there's nothing there, but Republicans believe something more sinister went on over the past few years involving Twitter and the FBI, and this was the chance for Republicans to make the case to the public.
We don't know where the FBI ends and Twitter begins.
Emotions running high.
We're talking about Hunter Biden's half-fake laptop story. I mean, this is an embarrassment.
Front and center, this New York Post cover from October 2020, weeks before the election.
We return not to focus on advancing this robust agenda of progress, but instead to take up an authentically trivial pursuit, all based on the obsessive victimology of right-wing politics in America.
What are right-wing politics in America? What are right-wing politics in America? Safety for children? Safety for children in the womb, allow religious freedom, freedom of speech, prosperity, sovereignty. I mean, what is wrong with right-wing politics? I'm asking the question, what's wrong with it? Allowing people to have free will to go where they want to go, here or there? To be able to think the way you want to think freely without, someone penalizing you because you don't agree. What is exactly wrong with it? Now, the left radical way of thinking, they want to sexualize children. They want to take away your freedom of speech. They want to take away your Second Amendment rights. They want to take away your capability of, speaking out against, these tyrannical governments. They want to act like they're dictators, communists. I mean, everything. They want to kill the child in the womb. Everything demonic. That is left-wing ideology. It's just the opposite, right? It's just the opposite. But they say that being a right wing is a bad thing. And what is bad about it? And if you want to talk about racism, it's not the right wing. Racism in America has always been the Democrat Party. Who owned slaves? The Democrat Party. Who was against black people voting? The Democrat Party. Who was putting black people in trees? You know what I mean? The Democrat Party. White people that were Democrats. Who was against women voting? Democrat Party. Who was originally against reparations when it needed to apply to black people? The Democrat Party. Right after slavery. We don't need it now because no one alive today was a slave. Who was against the Civil Rights Act? The Democrat Party.
Former Twitter executives in the hot seat to answer allegations about suppressing that report.
In hindsight, Twitter should have reinstated the Post account immediately.
I'll be the first to admit that we didn't always get it right.
Also testifying, James Baker, the former Twitter Deputy General Counsel. Before that, he was the top lawyer at the FBI when the agency launched Crossfire Hurricane, the investigation into potential ties between Donald Trump and Russia.
I did not act unlawfully or otherwise inappropriately in any manner with respect to Hunter Biden's laptop.
Republicans say the relationship between Twitter and the FBI was far too cozy. Both agencies met quarterly.
I think you guys got played by the FBI. 5 days after you guys take down the Hunter Biden story and block the New York Post account, 5 days later, 51 former intel officials send a letter and they say the Hunter Biden story has all the classic earmarks of a Russian information operation.
Since the 2020 letter, virtual silence from those former intelligence officials.
We all know now this was not Russian disinformation. It wasn't disinformation.
The White House, in a statement to Fox News, writing, "This is not what the American people want their leaders to work on." One witness alleged conservatives influenced Twitter. A company whistleblower claimed Twitter changed its policy to allow then-President Trump's tweet arguing 4 Democratic congresswomen should go back to the crime-infested places from which they came.
Ilhan Omar, Rashida Tlaib, they don't like America. They don't love America. They want to come in and change America. They want Sharia law. Why not get out? I don't want you here. You don't want to adhere to our laws. You don't love America. Bye.
Brett, the FBI out with a brand new statement within the hour reacting to this hearing to Fox News. I want to read part of it, denying any type of inappropriate relationship between the Bureau and Twitter. It reads in part, the FBI does not instruct or direct any social media company to censor an account or remove information from their platform.
So if they didn't do it, then what are all these docs that Elon Musk has been releasing on Twitter saying just the opposite of what the FBI is saying in a statement? Again, I don't believe that Elon Musk is just he bought Twitter just to make up fake documents. That's a poor waste of time. He's releasing these documents. We're showing the FBI did exactly that. So now we got the FBI lying again. Really, do you trust the FBI or do you trust Elon Musk when it comes to this Twitter docs? Okay. We don't have to talk about brain implants and all that. Drop all that. We're talking about the Twitter docs. Right? Who do you believe? Elon Musk or you believe the FBI? I'm going with Elon Musk. Right? I'm going with Elon Musk. Of course they're going to come out and say that. They have to say that. So that way that the liberal media will have talking points that they didn't do this. There's nothing there. Nothing there. Now, you know who Donald is? Listen to what he says, because he brings up the whole point about catching these dudes, catching these execs, these ex-execs from Twitter in a blatant lie. Like they can't remember who they talked to at the FBI. They can't remember who the communication was with the Biden crime family. They can't remember any of that, the Biden regime, Biden administration, but I call it the Biden regime. He can't remember any of that, but he remembers other details. Watch this.
Do you know how many tweets were actually flagged and taken down at the behest of the Biden team?
At the behest of the Biden team. You hear this? At the behest of the Biden team. And people go, well, Biden wasn't in the White House at the time. He wasn't in the White House. So you can't say it was the federal government. You can't say it was the federal government because he wasn't in the White House. Really? Now listen how he answers this.
I wouldn't agree with the characterization of it as being at the behest of them. These tweets were reported, and Twitter independently evaluated them under its rules.
But the email is very clear. More to review from Biden team. The response 3 hours later at the bottom, hold this up real quick so we can see. The request at the bottom, it says, handled these. What does handled these mean?
My understanding is that these tweets contained non-consensual...
Now, listen. Now he knows what these tweets are. This is really amazing here. See, now they don't have amnesia, right? He knows what these tweets are about. There's no pictures or no images or anything, and he's going to bring it out. Watch.
My understanding is that these tweets contained non-consensual nude photos of Hunter Biden, and they were removed by the company under...
Hold on, real quick, Mr. Roth. How could you know so much about the content of these tweets? I mean, as far as I'm concerned, these are just web addresses. I don't know what's in these tweets. You have these things committed to memory that you know the content, but you don't know who you talk to at the Biden team?
Right. See, he knows all the detail that was in those tweets, in that information, in those emails, but he doesn't know who he talked to at the Biden regime. He doesn't know who he talked to. Straight up lying. They know the information. They don't want, again, no proof, no truth. No justice, no peace. No proof, no truth. That's what they're saying. They go out in the hallways. No truth, no proof, no truth. No proof, no truth. No proof, no truth. Right? That's what they're saying. You don't have any proof, but they're showing the proof, but in their mind it's like, oh, you don't have any proof. You don't have any proof. No truth. They're lying. And then when they get caught in a lie, they just get silent. They just get silent. These people are disgusting. Now, this young man here, what he says here is what I was saying when I first started tonight. Every last one of these people that are sitting here that hindered our First Amendment rights, that violate the Constitution, work with the federal government, the FBI, to do that very thing. And it's not just Twitter. Not just Twitter. I'm telling you, they need to bring in the other big tech companies. This needs to be handled. Our country is collapsing right before our very eyes. Now listen to what he says. This is an extremely short clip, but it needs to happen. It needs to happen.
You, ladies and gentlemen, interfered with the United States of America 2020 presidential election, knowingly and willingly. That's the bad news. It's going to get worse because this is the investigation part. Later comes the arrest part. Your attorneys are familiar with that.
Later comes the arrest part.
Later comes the arrest part.
Later comes the arrest part. I love it because this is what needs to happen. These people need to know that if they're breaking the law, you're doing this corruption, that you will get arrested. But see, Democrats, how do I always say it? Demons will protect demons. I say that all the time. Some of y'all now getting, oh, yeah, demons will protect demons. So that's the reason why the big tech companies don't even really care about these hearings. I'm telling you, they don't care right now. And the main reason why they don't care right now is because, like I said earlier, when it goes over to the Senate, you got Chuck Schumer and Mitch McConnell going to work together hand in hand. They're going to hold hands and skip around the halls and say, we're not going to do anything about it. I'm telling you, that's exactly what's going to happen. All right. I have some more I want to share with you here. Okay. No, let me do it like this. All right. I normally just end it here and go over to Rumble, but I'm not going to do that tonight. I'm going to stay right here because all of this that I have for you, I want to share it with everybody here, wherever you're watching. And I'm actually live on Twitter right now as well. So I do have something that I probably, I'm not going to play it here, but there's something that I should play on Rumble, but maybe I'll do it tomorrow. I want y'all to listen to this. You know, was it Grassley? You know who Grassley is? Listen to what he says about the FBI. Listen to what he says. And then I have another one I want to share with you where they're actually talking about how the Democrats and Hillary Rodham Clinton, they were the ones actually colluding with Russia.
Other whistleblower disclosures to my office make clear that the FBI has within its possession very significant, impactful, and voluminous evidence with respect to potential criminal conduct by Hunter and James Biden. These disclosures also allege that Joe Biden was aware of Hunter Biden's business arrangements and may have been involved in some of them. We still aren't sure what's been done with this information. The FBI's track record doesn't create much faith that the information is going to be followed up on. It's clear to me that the Justice Department and the FBI are suffering from a political infection.
You know what? And let me be clear. Let me be clear about something. I've always asked for the good men and women that are still in the FBI. I want them to stand up. I want them, if they know, get a group of 5 of them, 5 of you, 10 of you that want actual justice, that's doing the right thing. Why not the dozen, whistleblowers with the approval of Congress arrest these people on the 7th floor in the FBI? These people need to be dealt with. They need to be dealt with. It's almost like, let's go ahead and invite the enemy into the country and allow them to control the FBI. They need to go away because the FBI needs to return back to its glory. I remember when I was young, I was a kid, I was like, man, it'd be cool to be in the FBI, but man, they're so corrupt. And they're all left-leaning. They're all left-leaning. They're all woke. Make it make sense.
That if it's not defeated, will cause the American people no longer to trust these storied institutions. It will also threaten the American way of life. Unfortunately, what you've heard from me, this story of government abuse and political treachery is scarier than fiction.
It is. is scarier than fiction because
it really happened.
It really happened. It really happened. It's not something that they're just making up, not something that's a possible future. It really happened.
During the course of my service, I've ran countless investigations. In the past few years, I've never seen so much effort from the FBI, the partisan media, and some of my Democrat colleagues to interfere with and undermine very legitimate congressional inquiries.
Why would they do that? See, like I said earlier, all of those on the left, this corruption is to their benefit. Why would they want to stop it? That's why you have Joffrey's and you have Jerry Nadler and you have AOC, all of the Democrats trying to stop this from happening, what's happening right now, because they want the corruption to continue. Why would demons want to change something that's not going to benefit them any longer? Think about that.
It's because of a triad of disinformation and outright falsehoods. As one example, look at Crossfire Hurricane. Bit by bit, piece by piece, it's been deconstructed.
Yes, now listen to this. This is so important. And of course, the liberal media, the Democrats, they all ignore this. Listen.
And shown to be politically motivated investigation, which it was. We all know now that it was the Democratic National Committee, along with the Clinton campaign, who colluded with the Russians. They used a former Russian spy, Fusion, GPS, and law firm to create a fake dossier and then tried to cover it up. Not a single Democrat, not a single Democrat even cares. Why? Because it's to their benefit.
Russia, Russia, Russia. Russia, Russia, Russia.
You remember?
Russia, Russia, Russia.
You remember what they took the country through?
Russia, Russia, Russia.
And it was them doing it?
Russia, Russia, Russia.
They were saying, oh, President Trump colluded with
Russia, Russia, Russia.
And it was a total lie?
Russia, Russia,
And the
Russia.
Democrats today, they're still pushing that lie?
Russia, Russia, Russia.
Really? Really?
Russia, Russia, Russia.
Now, listen to this one. I do like her. And she's so spot on. The corruption, the evilness of the left is at an all-time stench. I think hell is plugging up their nose because of the stench from the Democrats. Do you understand what I'm telling you? Hell. They're plugging up their nose because of the stench from the Democrats.
Ms. Parker, I want to go to you next about your experience at the FBI, because this is not just about the Twitter files, which folks are focused on because of the news it made. It's about a systemic rot in the culture and the politicization of the leadership of the FBI, and it needs to be rooted out.
Listen to this. It's so powerful. Hit the share button if you hadn't already. Please share this. Please share this.
Let's take a step back. Let's look at the targeting illegally of parents who wanted to stand up for their kids at school board meetings. On September 29th, 2021, the National School Boards Association sent a letter to Joe Biden equating parents at school board meetings to domestic terrorists. And on October 4th, Attorney General Merrick Garland issued a memorandum to the FBI and U.S. attorneys that the department would use federal enforcement tools to target and prosecute these parents. Do you consider parents as domestic terrorists?
I do not consider parents as domestic terrorists. No, I do not.
No, and neither do the American people. But there's more to this story. It goes back further than that initial letter on September 29th. Because the letter didn't happen organically, it was solicited. It was solicited by the White House and by the Secretary of Education. Essentially, the Biden administration laid the predicate for which it used to justify illegally targeting the American people, targeting these parents. Is it proper protocol as a former FBI officer to set that predicate, to manufacture the reasoning to justify opening an investigation?
I believe that no one should be targeted for free speech, and that Violence should never be tolerated under any circumstance, but it should definitely not, no one should be targeted because they want to speak up at a school board meeting.
But they were targeted. They were targeted. Remember? You, the parent, because you care about the education of your child, you were targeted by the federal government. You were targeted.
This was a setup, and it was the setup, and it's the real definition of weaponization of the government against the American people. And it's not just this example of targeting parents at School Boards Association. It goes back to the opening of Crossfire Hurricane. It goes back to the faulty FISA application. It goes back to what we heard on that first panel from Senators Grassley and Johnson. It goes back to the suppression illegally of the Hunter Biden laptop story paid for by the U.S. taxpayers. This corruption needs to
$42 million later
be rooted out. And it's not just about protecting the U.S. Constitution. It is most importantly about protecting the American people from the weaponization of the federal government against.
Yes. The federal government has been weaponized against the American people, and not protecting the American people, but weaponized against the American people. Now, let me play this one for you, because this one is about the school district. Remember how they did all that? She just brought it up, how they were going after parents. This is such an explosive news day, right? But the liberal media, they're all ignoring it because this is not what they want people to pay attention to. They want you to pay attention to wokeism. They want you to embrace the wokeism. Please hit the share button if you hadn't already.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. A lot has been said here about the fear of threats, but what we're concerned about in the scope of this committee is the fear of threats to the American citizens. The reason we use the term weaponization is because it is appropriate. We have so many examples of that across so many federal agencies that were designed to serve and protect the American people and have been used in recent years against them.
100%. 100%. The DOJ, the FBI, the NSBA, they've been weaponized against the American people.
That it will take us probably 2 years to lay that out. But I just want to focus on one that's been mentioned this morning because the timeline is important. The school boards issue. On June 22nd, 2021, Loudoun County parent Scott Smith spoke out at his local school board meeting and he was arrested. On September 29th, citing Mr. Smith's arrest as an example, the National School Boards Association sent a letter to the Biden administration requesting federal law enforcement involvement in local school board disputes. Now, here's what's really important. We learned later that the White House helped the NSBA draft that letter to itself. On October 4th, Attorney General Merrick Garland issued the now infamous memo directing federal law enforcement to mobilize against the parents of school children who protest at their local school board meetings. He turned the FBI, the U.S. Attorney's offices, the full weight of the Federal Department of Justice against the very citizens they were sworn to defend and protect. On October 12th, we learned that the Loudoun County parent Scott Smith's daughter was actually sexually assaulted at her school and that the school board covered it up, and that was the reason why that dad showed up to protest. 9 days later, October 21st, happened to be the day previously scheduled for Attorney General Merrick Garland himself to appear before our House Judiciary Committee. In that hearing, as my colleagues will remember, he was forced to acknowledge before our committee that the NSBA letter was the basis of his memo targeting concerned parents. But he refused to acknowledge the obvious chilling effect that memo, involving the full weight of the federal law enforcement apparatus, would have on parents' protected First Amendment speech. He also, by the way, refused to commit to a mandatory, under federal law, mandatory ethics review of his own family's financial ties to advancing critical race theory in schools and its relation to his school board memo and the obvious appearance of the conflict of interest therein. I encourage all interested citizens to watch the video of that hearing. It was pretty contentious. The very next day, on October 22nd, after much public outcry, the NSBA retracted and publicly apologized for its letter labeling concerned parents like Scott Smith as, quote, domestic terrorists. In the following weeks, over 20 different state school board associations severed their ties with the National School Boards Association. Our Democrat colleagues have tried to downplay the importance of this select committee and even criticized its name as hyperbolic. But as this example and so many others clearly show, key agencies have indeed been weaponized.
Yes, they have been weaponized. And everything he's reading out, he's laying it all out here. This actually happened. It's not something that they're possibly going to do in the future, like they're thinking about doing. I don't even want to know what they're thinking about doing. It's probably even more sinister what they've already done. I wouldn't put it past these people because they're straight up evil. They lie. These Democrats, they lie because the truth is not in them. And they don't care about any of this because, hey, it's only the American people. It's only the Constitution that's being violated. We don't care about the Constitution, according to the left, right? They don't. See, this is why I get so passionate about this stuff, because this stuff is actually happening. We are the United States of America, and this is happening. Where did these people come from? Who put it in their minds when they were growing up that they need to grow up, become politicians, and figure out how they can destroy America? Who put it in their minds? What happened? These communists did. These communists set up in the universities, and now they're in the schools, in the grade schools, in the elementary, high schools as well, manipulating the brains of children so they can think more like these evil leftists are right now today. They want more of it.
We're informed even still today that that memo has not been retracted by the Attorney General. Here's the question, Mr. Baker. You were an FBI agent for 33 years and were involved in a lot of the important and noble work there, but you've also said clearly and been vocal about some of the egregious overreaches you've seen from the FBI and the DOJ. In recent years, you've described what has devolved into a culture of, quote, deceit and deception involving, quote, alarming FBI behavior, and you've written that those abuses threaten the liberties of those on the left as well as the right. Professor Turley just cited statistics here today that there are large numbers of Americans who now distrust the FBI. Our task here is to determine exactly how that's happened and how to correct that framework. Mr. Baker, here's the question. In your testimony, you noted that FBI Director Mueller, a couple of decades ago, worked to centralize the FBI, meaning that he centralized all information and decision-making, making that at the FBI headquarters, as opposed to his predecessor's decentralized model, which empowered the field offices instead. Do you believe the elimination of all those layers of supervision, review, and independent judgment is a key reason for all this corruption we see today, and that it's something that must be reformed and reversed?
Yes, in fact, I do.
Hit that button for me, if you will.
Yes, in fact, I do, Congressman. I don't use the term corruption. The term I think is more appropriate that your colleague, Congresswoman Stefanik, used, the rotten culture, the culture rot. And specifically as regards to centralization, there's no question about it. Traditionally in the FBI, field agent had an investigation. He had a field supervisor above him. Above him was the agent in charge of that office. Only then did the information and the decision-making go to FBI headquarters. What happened under Mueller's centralized thing, all of that was eliminated. They ran these key investigations, the Hillary Clinton email investigation, and then the Trump collusion investigation, out of headquarters, eliminated all these layers of independent judgment, supervision, gone. So you had someone like, somebody mentioned his name already here, Strzok not only writes the communication opening the case, he goes the next day to London and conducts the first interview in the case. You have McCabe, a deputy director, number 2 in the whole bureau, directs the investigation and sends 2 agents to the White House to interview General Flynn. No levels of review. It was bound to end badly.
Thank you. I'm out of time. Yield back.
Wow. The FBI knew the whole
Russia, Russia, Russia.
They knew it was fraudulent information. They were pushing it. They pushed it. Is there any credibility left with the FBI? Now, I would like for it to return. I really would, to be honest with you. I'm not against law and order. I support the men and women in blue. And there's some woke cops out there. But just because we have some woke ones out there, woke cops, woke FBI agents, woke the DOJ, doesn't mean that these agencies cannot be restored. Doesn't mean they cannot be restored. All right, let me share something else with you, because I shared this yesterday. And this one, y'all remember when I shared this yesterday? For those of you that tuned in yesterday, last night, y'all remember this? This is what Nancy Pelosi on here talking about Joe Biden in his last 2 years. And this is a short clip. It's only like 25 seconds. But there's a reason why I want to play it. Listen to what she says, and then I'm going to play another video right after it.
Joe Biden is a person of vision, knowledge, judgment, strategic thinking to get the job done. He was a remarkable 2 years.
Okay, right? Remember, she said I played that yesterday. So for those of you that did not see that, listen to this one here, or better yet, watch this one here. Now, you see what she's just said about Joe Biden. How Joe Biden is like he's sharp, he's on point, wonderful 2 years, right? Watch. Is something wrong?
You know, got it over here.
What is he doing? What is he doing? It's almost like he's looking and he's talking, and then he looks and he sees the microphones there on the podium, and then he goes, I mean, it's like, what is going on? And he backs up, and then he goes back down, and then he goes to set it down like he's getting ready to leave, and then it's like, I guess he remembers oh, wait a minute, I'm still talking.
Got it over here.
Got it over here. But then you had Nancy Pelosi just said he's sharp, he's on point. I mean, what in the world? You know, I've heard people say that when you have intelligent people, you know, rational thinking people like President Trump, you stay out of wars. When President Trump was in office, we were staying out of wars. There weren't all the chaos on the planet was not happening. It really wasn't. I mean, we had some stuff going on, but compared to what's happening today, come on, you have to admit it's completely different now. Completely different. But then when you have someone that's incompetent, that's not there all the time, that's pretty much angry, calling half the country terrorists, domestic terrorists, right? That's a problem because it causes problems all across the board. And that's the agenda of those on the left. That is the agenda, to destroy everything, cause all kind of problems, every problem they can think of. My name is Will Johnson, and I'm telling you right now, all hands on deck. But before I go, let me say thank you to a couple of people here that bless me. Let me see here. Hold on. Kevin, thank you so much on YouTube. Thank you so much for sponsoring my YouTube channel. Thank you so much. I really do appreciate you, Kevin. Thank you so much. And let me see. I didn't see any Rumble rants. Okay. Let me see. Any stars? Let's go see here. Let's see. Well, let me say thank you to Mary, Deborah, Sarah, Diane, Sharon, Freddie. Thank you so much for sharing this. Renee, thank you so much for sharing. Jordan. Wow, Freddie's like all over it. Thank you so much for sharing. Let me see. Deborah, thank you so much for the stars. I really do appreciate it. Thank you so much. And again, when y'all see errors and issues and stuff like that, take a screenshot and post it. Please take a screenshot. If it won't let you post it, take a screenshot and email it to me. contact@uniteamericafirst.com. That's it. Contact. Right? We know what that means. Contact@uniteamericafirst.com. Send me an email with the screenshot. Ethel, thank you so much for the stars. Thank you so much. I really do appreciate it. Tammy, thank you for the stars. Larry, thank you so much for sharing. John, thank you so much for sharing. Daryl, Mark, Mr. Rob, thank you so much. Victoria, Thank you so much for sharing. Mandy, thank you so much for sharing. Joyce, thank you so much for the stars. Pat, thank you so much for sharing. Annie, Janet, Yolanda, Robert, Terry, thank you so much for sharing. Rita, there's a whole bunch of them in here. I really do appreciate it. Yolanda, Lawrence, thank you so much for sharing. Mike, thank you so much. Bruce, thank you so much for sharing my video. Thank you so much. It really does mean a lot. Thank you, everybody. Please. And for everybody that's watching on Rumble, please subscribe to my channel. Subscribe to my channel. Please subscribe to the channel. And of course, on Facebook, subscribe to my Facebook and YouTube. I would ask you on YouTube, but they don't, it's like people subscribe to my YouTube and then they just remove people. They subscribe and then they remove. I stopped looking at it, to be honest with you. It's like, I go on YouTube because there's a lot of people that like YouTube. I do. I go on YouTube because there's a lot of people that like YouTube, but so you have to check it. Same thing on Facebook. They'll have you on there, then they'll remove you. Because some people go, well, I haven't seen you in months. Because they have this like 90-day, 60-day, 180-day shadow ban on my Facebook. So I go every single day, except for maybe Saturday and Sunday. You know, I'll chill on the Sabbath, and then I go to church on Sunday, right? But every now and then I'll do something on the Sabbath, but I still go to church on Sunday. All hands on deck. God bless everybody. See you on the flip side.